had a request for some video that I had taken of my track day in August 2nd, 2024. And so here's a couple laps. This first one is just with the sound taken from my GoPro style camera. The lap after this one is using the program that gives data, but the camera shakes around a bit. So enjoy the noise. In case you're wondering, I don't run the car at its maximum performance. This section through here on the straightaway, I get up to around 135, maybe 140, and I stay around 120-ish in the corners. Trying to respect the track and respect the car, but it's still fun. was sitting around bench racing with some of the other track event drivers. One of them looked over at my car and asked if the fan blade was supposed to be laying down into the valley of the opening. Being sort of like that. And of course, it was not supposed to be that way. This is the second time that I've replaced these. Apparently they do not like 140 mile an hour. The last time that I bought these, I had spent a lot of time taking some of the pitch out of the blades. This is how the new ones came, and they came about that way the last time. So I thought that might help, not spinning quite so fast. But didn't make any difference. I had some, I don't know what you call it, aluminum solder, kind of aluminum brazing. It's not welding, but if there's aluminum material, you do it. So I went around it. All it did was make the hole bigger when it broke out. This one hasn't broken, but if you catch the light just right, I start to see some fracture marks. So it looks like part of my race day prep, along with changing the tires, adjusting the shocks, such and such, will be removing the blades from the pusher fans. I do have a fan on the other side of the radiator that I control manually that I can use running around the pits. I think running at speed, it really doesn't matter if the fans are there or not. But obviously I don't want the blades breaking, both from cost and the fact how lucky I am that they've slammed against that aluminum radiator twice now and haven't poked a hole in it. Also, on the track day, the car doesn't rotate in the slow sections of the track quite the way I like. I mean, it gets around okay. It doesn't really push. It just doesn't take a set and turn. So I believe I have 170-pound springs in the back. I'm going to replace them with some 220s. That will give me another 50 pounds each. I do have 53% rear weight, so that is part of the issue. I'm also probably the fact the back tires are substantially wider than the front tires, but that's just the way it is. The shocks on the car do pretty much bottom out. They have a little rubber O-ring on them. Shows you how far they've traveled, and all the way around the car they're pushed all the way to the top. The O-ring isn't torn, so I don't think it's slamming against them, but putting some more spring will help. I don't have for sure any idea exactly where it's bottoming out. I'm assuming it's on the banking. Could be in the infield. So I'm going to put the springs in. I'm going to take a bunch, get all the tires aired up the same, put a piece of tape on the car, measure the ride height all the way around from the wheel wells before I start. I do have a way to measure wheel weight somewhat. It's not near as accurate as 4 individual scales, but I put this in here. Got a big bar, pushed up to the wheel comes off the ground and it quits gaining, and gives me a weight measurement. I have scaled the car a couple times, and from my notes, what I'm getting around the car is close. So I'll do a scale before and then after, and even though it's not as accurate, it's all the same ball game, so I should be able to kind of match the numbers up and get the chassis set up from there. Between the ride height and the weight, I think it'll be pretty close. So that's my projects. Going to get a bunch of anti-seize and put on the fan shafts, since they're aluminum on steel, so that they'll come off easy on race day. Put street tires back on. And then come September, got another track event day scheduled. and we'll see if my changes make any difference. So that's my next project for the next few days. And here's another little trick. Putting the plastic bags under the tires lets them slide out and kind of center themselves when we bring the weight of the car down. Takes the friction off the floor a little bit. Back in the olden days when I had my stock car, I just threw kitty litter under it. The tires did about as good, but I didn't have painted floors back in the old days. So been scaling it a little bit just to see if I could duplicate the numbers, and I scaled it. Then I disconnected the sway bars, and that made a big difference. And then I went by and aired all the tires up to the same pressure. That also made a small difference. It's been kind of interesting to watch how it changes everything. On to the next step. This is some of the notes I was taking while checking the weights. In the little box, it's kind of started out initial weight. The next numbers in the box was with the sway bar removed, and then the next one's with the tires aired up the same. Here I'm using my little weight checker tool. Like I said, it's not as accurate as 4 individual scales, but it's what I got. And I think the numbers, relatively speaking, are close. You can't take it verbatim. If you add up all the weight of all the wheels, it's going to weigh heavier than the car actually weighs by a little bit. But it's what I've got, and coming up here are the final numbers I ended up using a program I found online. So once again, thanks for watching.